Hello everyone, today we are going to learn about transformers. This is the structure of transformers. Don't worry about it right now, we'll break it down each part in an easy and detailed manner. First, let's understand why we are even learning about transformers. What is the point of all this? So first, transformers are great at understanding text and they are also capable to generate things like text, similar to like ChatGPT and other transformers models. Okay, so there are models like Word which are capable to understanding the text, and there are models like GPT which are capable to generate stuff. They are based on the transformers. Okay, but you might be wondering, did we already have models that could do this? Yes, we did have deep learning models like RNNs that could generate things, but they had some flaws. Okay, so we have understand about what is the use of this. Let's understand why we are using transformers instead of RNNs or other deep learning models. So why? First thing is parallelization. In RNNs, you can see we in RNNs the data has to fed sequential manner. Like first you will fit U, and then you'll go to R, and then feed the R to the RNN model, and then A, then good, then person. But in transformers, we have a parallelism, which means we can fed all the data at once. Okay, this RNN thing takes a lot of time because we have to wait for one token to process before moving on to the other one, right? So that's why transformers are faster than the RNNs. One other thing that transformers is having long range dependencies. Long range dependencies means transformers have a great understanding of data. They don't usually forget previous information. In RNNs, imagine like this is a sentence, you are a good person. So there is a chance that by the time model process the word person, this person word, it might have forgotten the connection to you, this word. This makes RNNs not a good at capturing long range dependencies. Okay, so that's why we don't use RNNs. We prefer transformers. But there is one more facility that transformer is providing. There is a one more feature, that is flexibility. Transformers are also very flexible. They can be used for text, images, videos, and audios as well. So now you know what and you know why. Now let's talk about how they are that capable. What is happening behind the scene? I guess you have seen this architecture, right? This is the architecture of transformers. You have seen this. So let's break it down for you. This part is called encoder and this part is called decoder. Okay, encoder is mostly for understanding the text and decoder is mostly for generating this stuff. So we'll first talk about encoder and we'll go to each layer and simplify for you, and then we'll go to decoder and we'll simplify each layer for you. Okay, so first let's talk about encoder part. So let's talk about encoders. You have seen this structure, right? This architecture. It's a encoder. It's a part of transformer architecture. So encoder is responsible for understanding and extracting relevant information. Okay, they have a very good understanding of text. That's their specialty. That's why encoder is used. Okay, so models like Word and Roberta are the encoder-based models. They are used for the tasks that require a deep understanding of text, such as like sentiment analysis and text summarization. Okay, so now you have a basic understanding of encoders, what exactly they do. Now we'll go through each and every part of it, like what are the inputs, what are the input embeddings and positional encodings, everything, and how these things combining and going to the multi-layer attention. We'll talk about each and everything in a very detailed manner. Okay, so let's take an example as our input. So let's suppose we have an input like you are a good person. This is a text. Okay, we want to process this text. Now you must be thinking like uh, before going to the model, we need to convert this text into numbers because models don't understand the text directly, right? But how we decide that what number we should assign to this you or this you or this person? What number we should like pick for this? We just can't pick some random number. So this is where the embeddings comes in a place. Okay. So embeddings are numerical representation of words that capture their meaning and relationships. So let me show you the embeddings. These are the embeddings. Okay. Maybe the numbers don't make sense to you, but they make sense to the model. Okay, this is the whole identity of you. This embedding, these numbers is the whole identity of you. So you can just think about it like whatever the embedding this is, it's like identified as you in the model. So model just understand, just look at this embedding and just it will say that it's a you. Okay, so that's how model work. Now you must be thinking how we'll get these embeddings. Actually, it's simple to generate these embeddings. Actually, we already have models like Gloop by Google, and there are other models like FastText by Facebook. So you just provide the word, and these models will give you the corresponding embeddings of that word. Okay. So now you must be thinking how they calculate these embeddings, right? Because these are some random numbers. If we see in this, if we just directly see these numbers, they don't make sense to us. So how they are actually generating these numbers? So it's another topic to discuss. We'll discuss it in later, but yeah, we'll discuss in some other video. I'll just try to make some other video on that. Okay. So we have covered we have got our input, we have converted it to input embedding so that it makes sense to our model. Now we'll go to the positional encodings. Okay. So after getting the embeddings, so the next step is to add positional encodings. But what exactly are these? Like we have converted our text into embeddings, but we have lost some information about the order of the words, right? Because this is important because the meaning of sentence can change depending on the word order. Okay, so positional embeddings give the model information about the positions of each word in the sentence. An important thing to note that these encodings are calculated only once and can be reused. Okay, positional, this is a positional encoding, not a positional embedding. So these are two different terms, encoding and embeddings. So here we are calculating the encodings. Okay, so we are calculating only once and we are reusing it again with other some sentences. Okay, so you might be wondering how they are even calculated. So we are having some sinusoidal functions for that to calculate these. So you must be thinking why sinusoidal functions like these sine and cos, because you can see they represent a pattern and models generally capture the pattern. They don't understand other things. They capture the patterns. If you see even a simple deep learning or machine learning model, they try to capture a pattern in the data. So that's why we are using some sine and cos, because they are having some patterns like this or this. Okay, so these are having some patterns. Okay, so now we have covered positional encodings. So input embeddings will give the information about the input, and positional encoding will give the information about the positions. Now we are combining and we get our final embeddings. Now it will just get into like, it will go to the multi-head attention. Okay, so let's talk about that. So before going to multi-head attention, we'll just talk about what are these three things, because these are the embeddings. These are the origin of embeddings, and we are not manipulating anything here. So these are the KQV. Okay, so now you must be thinking what are these KQV? So we have converted our text, like already text into embeddings. So in transformer models, we have three components. One is the query, Q for query, K stands for key, and V stands for value. So they are derived from original embeddings. You will notice that our original embeddings goes into multi-head attention model, but with three different names. Okay, you can see here we are giving our original embeddings and it's going to multi-head attention model with three different names. We are not changing anything, but we are giving it a different name. So why it's that? What are these? So I'll just tell you what are these. You can see here, these are the linear transformations. Query is the what word is asking about. K is the information other words can refer to, and V is the actual information the word carries. Don't worry about these terms because they are pretty confusing. I'll just tell you. Okay, so why we are needing these things, KQA? So actually we are converting our original embeddings into different forms because each of these vectors serves a very different role. They are just variations of original embeddings with different weights so that they can function in a slightly different way. Okay, so we want this original embedding to different in a different way. So that's why we are assigning some weight vectors here. Okay, we'll assign some weight and it will just get manipulated by the loss function and it will act like whatever the sentence is same. And in Q as well, we are having some weight vectors, and V as well, we are having some bat vectors. Embeddings are same, but the weight vectors will get manipulated so that they can act differently. Okay, these are the KQV. These are the main definitions of KQV. So that each vector serves a unique role in understanding word relationship. Yeah, that's all we wanted to know. So what is the multi-head attention? Let's go to the next topic. What is the multi-head attention? Okay, so before going to multi-head attention, let's talk about self-attention, because that's more important and it will give you an overview. Multi-head attention, it's nothing but a higher version of self-attention. Okay. Now let's recap what we have covered so far. We have just converted our words into embedding so that model can understand that. And we have also incorporated position information using positional encodings. Now, where we are lacking actually. So we have done nothing with the relationship between the words. Okay, we haven't captured that relationship between the words. That's where the self-attention and multi-head attention comes in the picture, because it allows model to capture relationship between the words. Okay, so you must be thinking what kind of formula we are going to use to calculate this attention. So we have this attention score kind of thing. KQV we have already discussed. So after manipulation between Q and K dot product, we'll just apply softmax and then we'll have a dot product with V. Okay, that's how we'll get our attention score. You can see we are getting some attention. So these are some random numbers that I put, but you will get attention score in this kind of matrix. Like you can see 5 cross 5, 1, 2. Okay, let's see. Let's see some properties of self-attention. So for each row, we are capturing the meaning with the embeddings and positions with position encodings, and we are getting the interaction between the words with the self-attention. Okay, so the next thing is self-attention requires no parameter. What does exactly this mean? This means that the KQV, we are not doing any manipulations in KQV. These KQV are the same as the original embeddings. We are not applying any weight vectors so that they can act differently. No, they are the original embeddings for now, for in self-attention. Okay, so we are not doing any manipulations, not applying any weight vectors to act differently. It changes in multi-head attention. We are in multi-head attention, we'll apply some weights on KQV so that they can act differently. We have already discussed that, right? Yeah. So one more thing, to prevent interaction between specific positions, we can set their values to -infinity before softmax. Okay, so what does this mean? So if we don't want interaction between good and A, we can just set this value to -infinity. Okay, then these two words will not interact with each other. Why we are doing this? We'll just discuss it in a decoder part, because in encoder part we don't do this. Okay, so these are about the self-attention things. Let's go to multi-head attention. Okay, so in multi-head attention, you can see we are applying some weights, but let's talk about multi-head attention. Let's talk about multi-head attention. Okay, so let's take a deeper look at what's happening inside multi-head attention. Don't worry about this flow. I'll just break it down for you in an easy manner. So you can see we are still using input embeddings, but now instead of just calculating attention in a straightforward manner with a self-attention formula you have seen in a that formula you have already seen, instead of using these and getting the straightforward attention score, we are attaching some trainable weights with KQV. And after attaching those weights, we are splitting our KQV. You can see we have splitted K into H parts and Q into H parts, and we are doing same with the V. So what are these heads? Heads are the attention score for this K1 and Q1 and V1. Head 1 is that. Head 1 is the attention score of that. So it's like each head is calculating their own attention score. You can see here. Okay. And once we have calculated attention score for all the heads, we concatenate them and we can produce a final output. We can get the multi-head attention score, the final multi-head attention score. Okay. So why do we go through with this process? Well, the answer is each head is a multi-head attention. Each head in a multi-head attention allows us to capture different relationship between the words. Okay, for example, one head might focus on the word order, while the another might capture semantic meaning. Yeah, so you can see multi-head attention have providing these facilities, parallel attention heads, and each head is watching different aspect of same words. So till now we have covered this input thing, this input embeddings as well, and positional embeddings. We have also talked about KQV, and we have talked about multi-head attention as well. So what's the left? Add normalization. So why we use this normalization layer? Because we want to do normalization after getting the results from the multi-head attention, and we are also providing it the original embeddings. So we are normalizing that because it ensures the smooth gradient flow. That's why we are adding this add and normalization layers. Okay, so why this feed forward layer? So feed forward, you can say it helps to capture the non-linear relationship between the input and output. So you can see, yeah, it captures non-linear relationships in the data. And it's also enabling the model to learn complex transformation. That's why the feed forward layer is there. So I think we have covered everything. So congratulations, we have just finished the encoder part. And the decoder part is going to be simple because lots of terminologies we have already seen in the encoder. Okay, so let's talk about the decoder. You've seen this structure, right? This is a transformers half architecture. Here we'll have our encoder. Now this part is decoder. Okay, so decoder is responsible for generating output sequence. So they are mostly the generating models. There we can generate something. Okay, so nowadays like GPT, T5 and Llama and Mistral, these are the decoder based models. Okay, these are capable of generating text. But how do they do these things? So we'll just have a look in a detail of every aspect. I think we have already covered this input. Like here it's named as output, but it's the same as the input. Embeddings you guys already know. Encodings you already know. So we'll just talk about masked multi-head attention, how it's different with the multi-head attention. Okay, we are just using this term masked. So what is this term masked? Okay, let's talk about masked multi-head attention in the decoder. So in decoder, we want to predict the next word, right? And to do that, we need to ensure that the model doesn't see the future words during training. Otherwise, it will be a wise training, right? If our model knows if we train our model on the future words as well, then it will be a wise predictions, whatever we are getting. So to achieve this, we'll apply a mask by setting certain positions to negative infinity. You can see here, yeah, we don't want that our U, when we are training, that our U can see the R, because it's supposed to be predicting the R. We are not training with these two things. Okay, that's why we don't want this position to be interacting with each other. That's why we are setting this position to minus infinity. Okay, so like in this way, model can only attend the previous words, not the future ones. And this makes the model casual, meaning it can only look at the past information when making predictions. Okay, this masking concept is similar that I think we have discussed earlier in a self-attention, but it's really crucial in the decoder part to ensure proper text generation. So let's talk about one more thing. We have covered mask multi-head attention as well. We have also covered the add and normalization layers as well. So let's talk about this multi-head attention. Why it's important? Because you can see it's called cross attention. We call it cross attention as well. It's a different name. So you can see there is only one thing. You just need to notice here. The Q is providing with this mask multi-head attention, but K and V, we are getting from the encoders. That's why it's a cross attention. Okay, and we have already discussed about normalization, feed forward. This is a linear like neural network, and this is a softmax to get our output probabilities. Okay, here we are getting our output probabilities. So yeah, I think we have covered everything. Yeah, one more thing. Encoder output calculated only once means we can reuse these K and V, okay, as many times as we want. We don't need to recalculate them. Okay, so these are the features in a cross attention. So yeah, I think we have finished everything in a encoder and decoder part and in a transformers architecture. So yeah, I think we are done with this transformer lecture. So thanks for watching, guys.